Happy learning, dear students. Let's try some problems pertaining to pre-algebra today. So, all of us are aware about the distributive property which we have learned in previous classes. So, A into B plus C is equivalent to A into B plus A into C. Correct? So, we are just multiplying this A inside. Right, so it becomes A into B plus A into C. So, we are aware about this distributive property. Now let's try some problems which goes in align with this distributive property. So why do you want to learn this distributive properties? To simplify the problems and get the solutions in a faster manner. Okay, let's dive into a problem now. 11 into 43 plus 11 into 57. So when you take a keen look into this problem, it goes in a line with the right hand side of the distributive property, right? So now let us assume the value of A is 11, B is 43 and C is 57. So when you look into a question, we understand that it goes in line with the distributive property, and we take 11 outside, inside you get 43 plus 57, which is 100. So 11 into 100 is going to be 1100. Be careful with the zeros. Okay, so you can see how easily we have solved this problem. If you are not using the distributive property here, what will happen, dears? You tend to multiply 43 and 11. Again, you tend to multiply 57 and 11, so it becomes more tedious. Right, so the easiest way to solve this problem is you can take 11 outside and add 43 and 57, which tends to give you the answer. So this is the advantage of learning the properties of pre-algebra. Once you learn the properties, very easily you can solve the problems. Okay, now let's try some other number. Might be we will go with 22 into 6 plus 6 into 38. So we will take the value 6 outside. You get 22 plus 38. And when you add, it's around 60. So it's going to be 360. Okay, so in this way, you can make the process easier. Let's go with another problem. 32 into 16 plus 16 into 48. So 16 is common. 32 plus 48, which is 80. So 16 into 80. When you multiply, you get 1280. Okay, so this is how we need to approach a problem. First of all, when you look into any problems in a pre-algebra, see whether it is getting in aligned with any kind of properties, and then try to use that property in your problem so that you can get the answer easier. Okay, fine. Now let's go and try another problem. Okay, and let me take 85, 33, 22 into 22 minus 33 into 22 into 85. So when such kind of problems are given, what do you do immediately? You tend to multiply 33 and 22. Again, you multiply with 85, then do the subtraction and you proceed. Okay, so just take a minute and look into the problem. So you have 85 here and 85 here as well. 33 and 2 is present on both the sides, right? So just by means of the commutative rule, so whenever you go for multiplication, multiplication is commutative, right? It's both commutative as well as associative. So you can group the numbers in either manner. So 85 into 33 into 22 minus 33 into 22 into 85. So we know that multiplication is both associative as well as commutative. So when you subtract this, I get the answer 0. I'm not even multiplying the numbers, because obviously from the question it is very clear that you have the same numbers present on both sides, right? So which comes to a conclusion that your answer is 0 here. You're not multiplying and then getting the answer, which takes more of your time. Okay, so in this way you can avoid the avoid making, taking so much of time and then resolving the problems. Fine. Now let's go with another problem. 210 into 5 plus 105 into minus 9. Okay, so this is a problem which we are going to resolve it now. Okay, you can see I can multiply 210 and 5 and write it, and I can multiply 105 and 9 and then I can write it as well. Instead of this, now I'm going to approach this problem in a different manner. Let me try to expand this 210 as 105 into 2. When I try to expand this 105 into 2 as 210, what happens is I can take 105 common outside, right? So that makes my simplification even more easier. So 105 into 2, and I'm going to replicate the 5 here, plus 105 into minus 9. Now you can see here, I can take 105 outside. So 5 into 2 is 10 plus minus 9. Okay. So 105. So plus into minus, it is going to be minus again. 10 minus 9. So what is 10 minus 9? It's 1. So your final answer will be 105. Okay. So this is again another way of approaching a problem. Whenever you have a number which can be a multiple of another number, try to simplify that number and take that number outside, so that you are able to get it in an easier manner. Okay, so here I have taken 210 and 210 is expanded as 105 and 2. Then I have taken 105 outside. So inside the bracket you get 10 plus of minus 9. So 10 minus 9, which is 1. You can see that again we are using distributive property here. Okay, which makes the process even more simpler. Fine. Now let's take another problem. What is the sum of all the negative integers that is greater than minus 5? So on a scale, when we tend to write the values minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1. Then I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that the value will be proceeding. So now in the question they are telling what is the sum of all the negative integers. So when I say negative integers, the value is going to be minus 4 to minus 1 only. Okay, greater than minus 5, that's the question. What is the sum of negative integers that is greater than minus 5? So what are the values? Minus 4 plus of minus 3 plus minus 2 plus minus 1. We'll take minus outside. So you get 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. The answer will be 10. Now, there arises a question here. Is the value minus 4 greater than minus 5 or less than minus 5? Listen, whenever you deal with the negative numbers, you have to remember this scale. Okay. When I take the number 5, 5 is always greater than 4. There is no confusion. But when I understand minus 5 and minus 4 is greater than minus 5. The reason is because in the scale, we start with a negative greatest number and then we have to proceed till the positive. So minus 5 is always less than minus 4, because from minus 4 you go to minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, and then I'll be going to 0 and starting with a positive number again, right? So always minus 5 is less than minus 4, whereas in positive numbers, if you see, obviously 5 is greater than 4. There we don't have any confusion at all, right? So you have to be careful whenever you deal with a negative numbers.